purpose of this video is for me to add some clarity to the very confusing subject matter of what's the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Again, what's the big difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval? I've come across a lot of first-time home buyers and even seasoned home buyers and even real estate agents who couldn't really tell me the vast difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification. So clearly there's a lot of confusion that surrounds these two things. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and get to the meat of the matter as far as pre-qualification and pre-approval is concerned, right? So we're going into the basis of the two of these things right here. The basis of pre-qualification, the basis of pre-approval. Now, what's the basis of pre-qualification? Well, pre-qualification is all about general consumer data. It's all about data. It's all about what information you punch into a system and what feedback you get. Now, none of this feedback really does not mean anything. So you could even fabricate and put in false information and say that you make $200,000 a year when really you make $50,000 a year. And then the pre-qualification response will say, yes, you're qualified to get a house. It really doesn't mean anything because all this information is very generalized. It's all about what people with a certain what kind of loan people with a certain credit score can get, or people with a certain income can get. So it's very generalized. It's not very helpful. I don't think it's very trustworthy in many respects. Now, as far as the pre-approval is concerned, the basis of the pre-approval is that it's specific data and it depends on your financial record. So everything in the pre-approval, the basis of the pre-approval is factual. It's based on you and your information, whereas the pre-qualification is general, the pre-approval is very specific. This is exactly why I think that the pre-qualification thing is kind of a waste of time. You don't really benefit from doing a pre-qualification. I think the corporations benefit because they get to take your information that you entered and use your information for whatever purpose. They could be selling the information, or they're going to basically use it as leads to generate leads for mortgage brokers and for mortgage people to call you up. Because as soon as you do a pre-qualification, you have 100 different people calling you basically. So I think it's for marketing purposes. Now, moving on to the next thing, which is the initiation process. How is it initiated? Well, the pre-qualification is generally initiated on free online forms or phone questionnaires. It's basically you answering a number of questions. Questions like, what's your credit score? How much money do you make? What zip code is the house that you desire to possess, you desire to buy? Simple questions like that. And then it just spits back an answer at you. So again, to initiate the pre-qualification, you can just do free online questionnaires or do it over the phone. And you can go to websites like Zillow.com, Trulia.com, Quicken Loans, who else? I think Lending Tree, a couple others. Many people do pre-qualification forms. It's very simple, very generalized, easy to access, and it's usually free. Now, as far as a pre-approval is concerned, now, how to initiate that? You usually go through a mortgage broker, right? And the mortgage broker usually runs an in-depth search on your financial history by using your social security number. So again, this is a key difference between the pre-qualification and pre-approval, is that for pre-qualification, there's no mention of your social security. But for pre-approval, your social security is essential. Your social security is the key to getting this whole thing started, right? So no social security means no pre-approval, and that's just that. Next thing, your credit score. In pre-qualification, it's whatever you say your credit score is. If you say that your credit score is 800 when in reality your credit score is 200, the system will not know that because and you can even enter falsified information in the pre-qualification forms. You can make up anything. You can be totally ignorant. You could probably not even know your credit score and just make up a number and it will give you a response. So that's the pre-qualification. It's very unverified and I think unsubstantial. Now, when it comes on to the pre-approval, your credit score is verified through a hard inquiry. A hard inquiry is run on your credit, basically. So with pre-approval, you can't get away with anything. You can't make up that you have an 800 credit score. No. The mortgage broker will basically contact the 3 major credit bureaus to get information on your credit score. So you can't escape it. You can't make up anything. Everything is done through a hard inquiry with the pre-approval. The pre-approval process is all about running your credit. It's all about hitting you up with that hard inquiry. You can't escape it. It's inescapable. If you're gonna do a pre-approval, your credit has to be run. They have to check your credit score to verify that you really have that high credit score that you say. So in a pre-qualification, you can say that you have a 700 credit score, but that really doesn't mean anything. They want the proof. They want the concrete evidence that your credit score is really 700. So you can't escape it. You can't make up anything. Everything is done through a hard inquiry with the pre-approval. So that's it for the credit score. Now, the next element to consider, income. Now, when it comes down to pre-qualification, it's your stated income, right? So if you say you make 75,000, then fine, the system will take that. If you say you make 100,000, the system will take that. The system will not dispute anything you say when it comes down to pre-qualification. It takes everything. Now for pre-approval, it says your actual income is verified through your tax returns and your pay stubs and even the job letter. So you can't fabricate and say that you're working when you can't show tax returns and pay stubs, because these things are essential. These 2 elements right here, tax returns and pay stubs and the job letter, this is important when it comes out to pre-approval. And you can't go through the pre-approval process without having your tax returns, sometimes of as far back as 3 years, and your pay stubs. No way you can get the pre-approval without this right here, right? Your savings. Again, you can say that you have $100,000 in the bank. Nobody will dispute you. When it comes on to pre-qualification, they don't care. They just take your word for it. As it says here, your stated savings is whatever you say. Now, when it comes on to the pre-approval, they want bank statements and bank records and records of your assets and all that thing. And when I say bank statements, they go in depth with your bank statements. They go through your whole banking history pretty much, as far as like 2 or 3 years back. They dig really deep as far as this is concerned. So with your pre-approval, you can't show up without bank statements and bank records and all these good things. So if you don't have any of these things right here, you can pretty much forget about the whole pre-approval process, because you have to have your banking information ready, right? So the next thing to consider is debt calculation. Your debt calculation. Now, again, with the pre-approval, you could say, oh yeah, I don't have any debt, I'm debt free. And no one will dispute it. However, when it comes on to pre-approval, they do an in-depth debt calculation. And that's usually done by the mortgage broker. They need to know how much money you owe. They need to know the full detail of your bills and your expenses in order to be able to give you a pre-approval. So if you can't provide in-depth information about your bills and your debt and all this stuff, then guess what? Forget about the pre-approval. You will not be approved. And usually the mortgage broker can get this information through your credit score, so and through your credit information and all that stuff, right? Now, a few other important things to consider. Mortgage application. When it comes on to pre-qualification, no mortgage application needed. That means there's no commitment. You're not serious. You could just wing your way through it. When it comes down to pre-approval, you definitely need a mortgage application. That's a mandate. No pre-approval without mortgage application. Next, the specific loan amount. You won't know the specific loan amount through pre-qualification. Again, the pre-qualification is generalized. Again, It's very generalized, and sometimes I really don't think it makes much sense to do the pre-qualification. Now, when it comes on to pre-approval, you will definitely get a specific loan amount because your credit will be ran, your earnings, your bank statements, your assets, all that stuff will be factored in. The price of the house or what range you want will all be factored in to come up with the specific loan amount that you're gonna get. So as far as pre-approval is concerned, you will get a specific loan amount. Pre-qualification, no specific loan amount. It's all generalized information. Now, next element here, specific down payment. With pre-qualification, no specific down payment will be mentioned. You won't know what's your specific down payment. Now with pre-approval, you will certainly know what's a specific down payment. If you're pre-approved and you select a house that is like 400,000 or whatever, you'll be able to figure out the specific down payment amount, whether you're doing FHA or you're doing conventional loan. You will definitely know your specific down payment. With a pre-qualification, you won't know what your down payment is going to be. There's no way of you knowing because the real numbers weren't factored together. They weren't used or manipulated to come up with anything definite. So as far as the pre-qualification is concerned, you will not get anything as far as your down payment numbers. Now with pre-approval, you will get something that is very close to what your actual down payment will be. Specific interest rate. When it comes on to pre-qualification, you will not get a specific interest rate. Again, because pre-qualification is very generalized. Will you get a specific interest rate with pre-approval? Yes, most certainly. See, interest rates are important. This affects your mortgage payment, right? And the pre-approval, when you do a pre-approval, you will figure out what your interest rates will be. And that's very key and that's very important. So you can plan ahead and be prepared and know what you're getting into. However, the pre-qualification does not do that for you. It doesn't do that for consumers. So basically, let's tie this up. Pre-qualification, unverified, no investigation, very generalized. It's your word, it's whatever you say. And number 5, can be fabricated. You can make it up. You can do 100 pre-qualification forms, and they all come up with different things, right? Because nothing is verified. On the other hand, when it comes down to pre-approval, everything is verified. Thorough investigation is done into your financial records, your financial history. So you can't make up anything. It's highly specific to you and your finances. Lots of documentation is required. Tons of documentation. You're talking about Social Security, talking about tax information going back years, talking about bank statements. Lots of documentations are required when it comes down to pre-approval. Furthermore, facts, very factual. So pre-qualification is more like a snapshot, and the pre-approval is more like a big picture of what's going on with your finances and your readiness to get a house. So I hope that helped to give you some clarity as far as the big difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. So anyway, any questions, hit me up. My name is Ian Robinson, Realtor in New Jersey. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Peace out. See you next time.